that this shit not gonna go.
If you love wisdom, put your mind up to the ceiling. Don't let it stay in the gutter. Don't let your heart get all cluttered. No, I did not stutter. Listen to all that I've muttered. Your life will only go well if you win wisdom or lovers.
You're in love with wisdom, come inside.
Come inside. Come inside.
The truth will surely rescue you and I.
You and I. You and I.
If you're in love with wisdom, come inside.
Come inside. Come inside.
The truth will surely rescue you and I.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? You are listening to For the Love of Wisdom, where philosophy meets the streets. So glad that you could join me this afternoon. This week, we are discussing the wisdom of continuity, all right? And we're looking at that from several different aspects. So in hour one, we talked about how it relates to filmmaking, the NFL, just in words in the English language in general. So if you missed that, you can definitely check us out, but more on that after this.
If you're in love with wisdom, come inside.
Come inside.
Hey, what's going on, Wisdom family? Each week on For the Love of Wisdom, we promote a new and free audiobook that we believe you will benefit from and become wiser by listening to. On today's show, we're talking about the wisdom of continuity. And so, the recommended book for this week is Don't Give Up, 10 Inspirational Thoughts and 10 Motivational Stories by V. Newt. This book is all about staying encouraged so that you don't give up so easily by staying consistent. That's how you can succeed. To download this free book today, just visit audibletrial.com/lovewisdom. audibletrial.com/lovewisdom.
Right, welcome back. You are listening to North Coast Underground, where the underground starts with you. And this is your host, JC Johnson, on For the Love of Wisdom, where philosophy meets the streets. And today we are discussing the wisdom of continuity. Every week we discuss a different topic, and as you notice, each of the show titles have the suffix ity, right? And so if you're not familiar with that terminology, suffix, it's when a word ends with a particular letter or a few letters. The same with the prefix. A prefix is when a word begins with certain letters, right? So if you think about it, right, when it comes to ity, there are a lot of words in the English language that end with ity. It's just like how city ends with ity, unity ends with ity, tranquility ends with ity, humility, continuity, right? So you see the pattern there. So right now the shows all have that suffix of ity, and it's not going to always be that. As I mentioned on the first hour, we're going to switch it up maybe after the 50th episode, and we'll do a different suffix, or maybe even a particular prefix this time, just to make it interesting. So if you have an idea of something that you would like, if you think that it would be cool, for example, to have every show start with PRE as a prefix or something like that, like, which ironically the word prefix has a prefix of PRE in it. But yeah, if you want something like that, if you think that would be cool, or you have an idea for a different suffix that you think the show titles should be named after, or the episode titles I should say, then definitely hit me up on Twitter. The Twitter handle is @LoveWisePodcast, and you can hit me up on there and you can let me know what you think, or you can inbox me, whatever, but I definitely want you to participate in the conversation, because that's what this is about. So I don't necessarily want to have just a conversation with myself. I really want to invite you to talk with me, because I really want to know what you think. I want to know what you have to share, because I'm sure that whatever you have to share is valuable as well. So just throwing that out there for you. And let's get back into what we're discussing today. As it relates to continuity, we were looking at what the NFL actually has to teach us about continuity. And during the first hour, we looked at the Los Angeles Rams, and we looked at how they're having the same starting five for almost every single game last season, except for one game. that was awesome, and that actually helped them to be pretty successful, and it helped them to build a really strong team. And it looks like they're looking to do the same thing this year. So who knows? Maybe we'll see them in the Super Bowl in January or February 2019. Here's the next one. All right, we're talking about the Vikings now. Here's the headline. I love it. Kirk Cousins pleased with continuity from Stephon Diggs' new Vikings deal. All right, here's an article. It's appeared in Star Tribune, and it was written by Andrew Kramer, and this actually just came out on July 31st. And here's what he has to say. What I like most about Stephon Diggs and his new 5-year deal is he loves football and loves to come to work, because as a quarterback, it can be miserable if you're out here with someone who is here just to get a paycheck and leave. Cousins said during a press conference on Tuesday, he wants to work. He's excited to practice. And, you know, people may not always really think of it like this when it comes to someone who's in the NFL or maybe the NBA. But for some players, it is like a normal job, just like any other job, just like working at a bank or working at a car dealership or working in a hospital or whatever. And you would think, but how could something like football, which is so fun, how could somebody see this as just a job? But remember, people get into things for different reasons. You know, if you see a police officer, you can't assume that that person is a police officer just because they love serving and protecting people. Possibly they want to be a police officer because they said, hey, this is an easy way to make 50, 60,000 per year, right? So in order to make that, they have to put up with the police work, which they may not be passionate about. But there may be some police officers who went into it saying, I have a passion for this. I have a vision. I want to actually be used to do something good, or I want to clean the streets up of crime, or whatever. So people have different reasons for getting into things, and I think what Kirk Cousins is saying here is that he likes his teammate Stephon Diggs, and that he's in it for the right reasons. He's in it for the love of the game. He's in it because he's passionate about this. And when players are passionate, then they're going to give their all. They're going to show up to practice. They're not going to complain. And so let's look more into what Kirk Cousins has to say. He says, I love it. Continuity to me is very important, and it's not a luxury we have in the NFL these days. There's a lot of change year in and year out, so I've come to expect that and understand you can't use that as an excuse. You have to, as the new players come in, we have to learn quickly and get caught up to speed and go. And this is very true what he's saying here. In the NFL, in the NBA, in the MLB, and all major sports, there are a lot of changes that take place. There's players get traded to new teams. I mean, we saw that just recently with LeBron James. He became a free agent, and the hardcore LeBron James fans from Cleveland, they said, oh no, he would never leave. He's gonna be here. He's gonna be still playing in Cleveland when he's 70 years old, right? He's gonna be, he may have a hard time getting up and down the court, but he's gonna be here forever, right? That's what some people thought. But guess what? LeBron James became a free agent, and he left. He did what he felt was best for him and for his family, most likely. So things happen, right? So what Kirk Cousins is saying here about the Vikings, he says, we see changes all the time, but it's an awesome thing when we're able to have some continuity, when we're able to have the same players with us, because that gives us the ability to really build a strong team, similar to the Los Angeles Rams and how they had that same starting lineup of 5 players that helped them to get some cohesiveness. It helps them to really flow together. And it's like that in any kind of industry, in any kind of job. I can recall just working in jobs where, I work with the same people all the time. And over time, you begin to develop a rhythm. You have a pattern. And there's some things that you don't even have to talk about anymore. You don't have to say, hey, who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? You just instinctively begin gravitating toward whatever your strengths are or your passions. And if everyone is doing that, then things run smoothly. But when everyone is trying to do someone else's job or trying to put their job onto somebody else, that's when you see problems. That's when you see a disconnection in the continuity. That's when you see a break in that. But when people are working together, then it always works out pretty well. We'll see what else Kirk Cousins has to say about his team and continuity. He said, "We were here until 9:15 last night doing install. I've been a part of some locker rooms where by 9 o'clock, some of your guys are sleeping in the back row, not taking notes, not paying attention. They're basically checked out, texting or whatever. That's not him. That's not these guys." That's pretty cool. He's saying that they're taking it seriously. And it's kind of a funny visual. You think about it, some guys, some NFL players are fully dressed up or whatever, and they're just all in the locker room. Some of them are just texting or whatever, as if millions of dollars are not at stake there, right? But maybe some people feel like, hey, I got this deal. It's locked in. I don't care if we win or lose. I'm going to make this money regardless. But what he's saying is he likes those players that are passionate about the game and who actually want to win. But more on that after this. You're listening to North Coast Underground, where the underground starts with you.
Hey everybody, you're listening to For the Love of Wisdom, where philosophy meets the streets.
With your host, Jason Johnson.
All right, welcome back. You're listening to For the Love of Wisdom, where philosophy meets the streets. During the break, I was just trying to take care of getting this bill paid, because as you know, it is that time of the month where we do need to take care of those responsibilities, right? The continuity of taking care of your bills, right? Yeah. Before the break, we were talking about how there were two different sports teams, the Los Angeles Rams and the Vikings. Both teams talked about the importance of continuity and how that was able to help them win games, right? And now let's take a look at the third NFL team that can teach us about continuity. That's the Washington Redskins. All right, and this is an article that was published on the NFL website, actually on the Redskins website, redskins.com, and it says, in the National Football League, continuity at any position isn't easily attained, which is why when head coach Jay Gruden was asked how it felt to have the same two safeties start at the position for the second straight year, he didn't mince words. He said, "Very exciting. We've had a tough time here finding the safeties. With DJ coming back for his second year, Monte coming back for his second year, DeShazer been here now 2 or 3 years, so he's got some great experience with going out there. It's a great thing to have, some experienced safeties back there." So the coach is definitely really excited about being able to have the same two safeties 2 years in a row, and even having some other players who are there consistently. This has helped them to be able to build up a really strong team, just like with the Los Angeles Rams, who had the same starting five that whole year. And then looking at the Vikings now, who have Kirk Cousins and Diggs seeming to work really well together. Even if you look at the NBA and basketball, the NBA has revealed to us the power of continuity over the past 4 years. And some sports pundits adamantly hold to the theory that the NBA is rigged. But whether you are in that camp of conspiracy theorists or not, you can't deny the incredible continuity that we see in both the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors. I mean, to be able to face each other 4 years in a row in the championship game, that means that they are two teams that really are good at staying consistent, keeping that lineup that they know works, except, the Cavaliers, they lost Kyrie Irving. That was a little bit different. But the Warriors most definitely understand the importance of continuity. Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, everyone that came together and said, you know what, we are going to win this thing. They were determined to do it, and they did it. That's continuity in a nutshell right there. let's take a look at the book of the week, because this talks about continuity. This book is called Don't Give Up, 10 Inspirational Thoughts and 10 Motivational Stories. And this is written by V. Newt. And here's what this book is all about. It's about being inspired by the thoughts and different stories of other people who have attained success by staying consistent. These are wonderful motivational thoughts and inspiring stories. And the thoughts are statements that can help you to move forward despite challenges and mistakes. So one thing that this book helps you to be able to do is really see the purpose of failure, how you can turn your failures into success, how different stories of other people, how they may motivate you to be able to do even better on your particular journey. It helps you to discover how refusing to give up can end in fame and fortune, and ultimately how not giving up will teach you to have more determination at the end of the day. Because when you're determined to do something, when you're determined to make it, then you will. So here are some quotes from the book that I think are really good. He said, "Have you ever heard that saying, if it was easy, everyone would do it?" Well, that's really true, right? Because yeah, if it was that easy, everyone would do it, right? But not everything is something that everyone can do. And that's why, you know, for example, some people are billionaires and some people are not even hundredaires, right? Because not everybody is willing to put in that hard work. Not everyone is willing to be consistent. But one thing that the author has to say too about hard work, he says the fact that it is hard, it shapes your character. And that's important. Sometimes we don't want the hard thing. We just want the benefits. We want the fruit. We want the results. We don't want to put in the work. But he's saying, no, you got to put in the work if you want the results, right? If you want that harvest full of fruit, then you got to plant the seeds. You got to water the seeds. You got to put in the work. You got to put your hand to the plow. You got to till that land if you want to get a result. One thing he said here too, he said to do a little bit of an exercise. He said, close your eyes and imagine yourself having everything you've ever wanted. And then after closing your eyes, imagine the following. What if you were already there? Would that make you happy? Of course it would, he says. But if you skip the journey and you go straight to the finish line, you wouldn't have learned anything. And one thing that they really try to drive home in this book is that it is through going through those difficult things that is where your character is truly built. And that's where you're able to learn from your mistakes. And it makes you wiser as a result. But when people try to skip to the ending, they don't really learn any of the lessons. And so he gives an example here. His own example. He says, my business partner and I, we made some bad decisions in the beginning. After achieving success, we look back at all that we've learned. And if someone were to ask us for advice now in that particular industry, we would be able to give them all types of tips and tricks, because through the difficulty, we learned something. And that's really important. They were able to learn from their mistakes. So it wasn't all easy. It wasn't all fun and games. But now they're able to benefit from the difficulties that they had faced, which pushed them to where they are today. He gives one more example in the book about two millionaires. He said one inherited millions from his parents, and the other one was poor, and he grew up in a poor family, and he had to struggle and deal with all types of problems and figure out how to achieve wealth. So he says they both had the same amount of money, but one of them had learned more than the other one because of all that he had to go through to earn the money, whereas the other one, he inherited the money, so he didn't appreciate it the same because he got it too easy, and he never had the opportunity to build resilience against adversity because the money was just handed to him. So there are differences there between someone who has it from the beginning and someone who has to work for it, somebody who has to put in the the hours learning, doing research, trial and error, figuring out how to make it happen. There's a big difference there between the two. So it's an awesome book. I definitely recommend you checking it out. Again, if you want to download that book for free, you can just go to audibletrial.com/lovewisdom and you can download that. But we're about to go to a quick break, so stay tuned. You're listening to North Coast Underground, where the underground starts with you. And this is For the Love of Wisdom, where philosophy meets the streets.
This is your girl, Juicy Jazzo, and I wanted to let you know I'm all about wisdom. Knowledge is power, power is money, and money makes the world go round. And you're listening to For the Love of Wisdom right now, bleeding out the speakers.
All right, what's going on? And welcome back. You're listening to For the Love of Wisdom, where philosophy meets the streets, and we're on North Coast Underground, where the underground starts with you. All right, so this week we are discussing the wisdom of continuity. So let us continue the discussion. All right, before the break, we were checking out the book of the week. We looked at a few excerpts from the book, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. As I said, you can download it for free on Audible. Just go to audibletrial.com/lovewisdom, and it's a really quick read. I think it only takes about an hour and some change to get through it. So it's a short book, but it's short and it's to the point. There's no fluff. It's just, it goes straight for the jugular. So I think that you'll appreciate it. Let's take some time now and look at some quotes from some notable people as it relates to continuity. All right, here's the first one, and this one is from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. All right, let's see what he has to say about continuity. Success isn't always about greatness. It's about consistency. Consistent hard work leads to success. Greatness will come. All right, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. He talks about how you have to stay consistent. You have to give consistent hard work. So he's not just saying give consistent any kind of work, right? He's talking about giving consistent hard work. And if you do that, it will lead to success. Now, this is interesting because I have heard plenty of people say throughout the years, you know, it's not about working hard, it's about working smart, right? But even though that's true, you don't want to break your neck if you don't have to, right? You don't want to work 20 hours a day if you don't have to. However, when you're in the beginning stages and you're trying to become successful, you have to pay your dues, just like everyone else. Unless it was handed to you through inheritance, there is going to be some hard work that's involved, right? And if you want to get to that place where you're just working smart as opposed to working hard, you are going to have to put your hand to the plow in the beginning and put in that hard work. So I agree with what he has to say there. He says hard work leads to success. Greatness will come. That's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson right there. Let's look at another one from Maya Angelou. Here's what she had to say. One isn't necessarily born with courage, but one is born with potential. Without courage, we cannot practice any other virtue with consistency. We can't be kind, true, merciful, generous, or honest. So she took a different spin when it came to consistency. She's basically saying, from a moral standpoint, there are plenty of good things such as being kind, being truthful, having mercy, being generous, being honest, but these things cannot be practiced, or any other virtue for that matter. They can't be practiced without consistency. And it says here that without courage, you cannot practice any other virtue with consistency either. So without consistency, you can't do it. And without those things, you can't do these things consistently. So all good things are supposed to work together so that you can consistently accomplish what it is that you are hoping to accomplish. Just saw Will the Thrill passing through the studio now. What's going on? So let's continue this discussion here. A few interesting quotes. We even got one from Khloe Kardashian. I wonder what she has to say about being consistent, about continuity. All right, she said, we all have to start somewhere, and doing something is better than doing nothing at all. Start small so you don't get discouraged and give up. Remember, it is all about consistency. And that's true. That's true. I mean, people can say what they want about her and her family or whatever, but one thing that you can't say is that they are inconsistent. They are very consistent. They have continuity in what they do, and that's why they're successful. Here's a quote from Louis C.K. He said, I've learned from experience that if you work harder at it and apply more energy and time to it and more consistency, you get a better result. It comes from the work. That's pretty good. Let's look at that one again. I've learned from experience that if you work harder at it and apply more energy and time to it and more consistency, you get a better result. It comes from the work. And that, I think that goes in line with what Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was saying as well. You really have to work harder at it. You got to apply energy and time to it. You have to be consistent. That is how you are going to achieve good results. And here's one from Bruce Springsteen. Let's see what Bruce Springsteen has to say. Awesome musician, by the way. And he talks about how he is consistent when it comes to putting out music. All right, he says, getting an audience is hard. Sustaining an audience is hard. And it demands a consistency of thought, of purpose, and of action over a long period of time. And that's true. Because for anyone that's starting something, if you're trying to build a fan base, you have to really keep doing the same things over and over again. You got to keep playing those same songs every night, right? You got to keep on practicing. You have to keep on promoting that same music, and you might get tired of it after a while, right? I know for me, as a musician, sometimes I make music, and because I'm recording it, I'm doing the mixing, sometimes even doing the mastering and stuff like that, I hear the song so much that I get tired of it. But I try to keep in mind that even though I might be tired of it, other people who hear it are it's like they're going to be hearing it for the first time, and it's a different experience for them. So I got to put it out. I got to stay consistent, right? So that means that I can't just release one song and then disappear for the whole year. You got to be at it all the time. And Bruce Springsteen is correct when he says you have to stay consistent. You have to keep on giving something to that audience that they're going to appreciate, because that's how they're going to keep coming back. That's how they're sustained. Because if you look at somebody like Bruce Springsteen, I mean, he's been in the game for a really long time, and he's been doing well with consistency, with continuity. He is a master of that. That's why he has longevity. He's one of those people that gets it. It's not like he tried to put out a hip hop record, or you don't see him doing anything that is inconsistent with his brand. He is known as having the same type of music, not necessarily just doing something that's uncreative, but it's in his consistency. I think that's why people like him so much. Kind of like AC/DC. It seems like they have those same exact chord progressions. It's like they use the same amount of effects, the same distortion. It's like all their choruses, those one-liners, they keep doing the same thing, and you would think people would get tired of it, but people love it. That's what they appreciate about AC/DC. That's what I like about them. The fact that their songs are so simple, yet that's what makes it good. So Bruce Springsteen understands the importance of that. Here's one from Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton says, I have always wanted to learn the piano, but because I travel so much, I can never get any consistency of lessons. So everywhere I go, if I can find a piano, even if it's in the lobby of a hotel or something, I go on YouTube and pick some songs to learn. That is dedication right there. I mean, think about it. He's saying, I don't have time to sit down and take professional lessons, but every chance I get, I learn a little bit more. I study. I go on YouTube. I mean, hey, YouTube videos are free. You can type in anything you want. You know, you want to learn how to build a nuclear explosive. I'm sure you can find that on YouTube as well. I'm not recommending do that because you don't want any issues with ATF or, you know, with the FBI or anything. But I'm just saying, anything you want to learn, most likely you can learn it by going on YouTube. It's a great resource. Underutilized, if you ask me. Instead of just looking at entertainment, you can go on there and learn something that can possibly make you successful, make you a millionaire, or at least help you to live the life that you really want to live. But more on that after this. We're on North Coast Underground, where the underground starts with you. And this is JC Johnson for the Love of Wisdom.
Hey, what's up? It's your girl Queen Z from the Queen Z Show, and you are listening to For the Love of Wisdom.
All right, welcome back. You are listening to For the Love of Wisdom, where philosophy meets the streets. And, you know, we are listening on North Coast Underground, where the underground starts with you. So before the break, we were discussing some wisdom quotes from notable people as they were discussing the importance of continuity, staying consistent, just, you know, doing the same things over and over again. That's the best way to really achieve results. And as mentioned earlier in the show, it's just like when you have a farmer. You know, that farmer is planting different seeds. Maybe he's planting tomato seeds or whatever it is that he's planting, and he's hoping that eventually those seeds are going to grow and produce fruit, right? So you don't plant a seed and then keep looking every 5 minutes to see if it's going to grow. I mean, you need to give it some time, right? You need to step away, probably do something else, come back every now and then, you know, water it, make sure it's in the right location so it can get the right amount of sunlight and, you know, whatever else is needed. But ultimately, you have faith that one day those seeds are going to materialize into something wonderful, something beneficial for you. All right, so, you know, at the end of every show, I like to take a look at what the Bible has to say about whatever topic it is that we're discussing. And so there's a few verses here that really stood out to me as it relates to continuity and consistency, and I think that you will appreciate these. Let's check out the first one. The first one here is from 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 58, and it says, "My dear brothers and sisters, remain strong in the faith. Don't let anything move you. Always give yourselves completely to the work of the Lord, because you belong to the Lord. You know that your work is not worthless." And that's pretty good. And, you know, that's encouraging if you are going through difficult times. You know, things are hard for you right now, and you may not feel like continuing on that path, you know, continuing on that journey of doing what is right, because sometimes it's so much easier to do what is wrong, right, than to do what is right. But he's saying, hey, you just gotta just stay focused, stay consistent, you know, don't give up. And if you do that, you know, eventually things are gonna work out for you. So that's something important to keep in mind. We don't want to forget that. And let's look at another verse. Earlier in the show, we actually looked at Galatians chapter 6, verses 9 and 10. And that talks about how if it says, let us not become tired of doing good. At the right time, we will gather a crop if we don't give up. So when we can do good to everyone, let us do it. Similar to the agricultural example there about the farmer with the seeds, right? It says that if you don't give up, then eventually you're going to reap that harvest. You're going to get that crop. In Hebrews chapter 13, verse 8, this is really cool right here, because this actually speaks about Jesus, and it says that he is the king of continuity, because it says Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever, right? So it doesn't get any more consistent or continuous than that. Jesus Christ is the master of continuity, and we can learn something from him. He never changes. He's always the same. That's pretty cool. All right. We are going to look at a couple more. before we go, here's one from Proverbs, chapter 12, verses 27 and 28. It says, lazy people do not even cook what they catch, but those who work hard eat their fill of what is hunted. There is life in doing what is right. Along that path, you will never die. Now, this is kind of funny imagery here. It's saying that some people are so lazy that they don't even take the time to cook their food, right? They got some raw chicken. They're just like, you know what? I'm just so hungry, man. I don't even have time to cook this. I don't care if I get salmonella or whatever. I'm about to just dig into this right now, right? That's a little bit too lazy right there. But it says that those who work hard, they eat their fill of what is hunted. And so, it's just a way of contrasting people who are willing to put in the work and those people who are not. It's as simple as that. Because those people that are willing to do the work, they are the people who are going to have success. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 8 and 9. It says, we are pushed hard from all sides, but we are not beaten down. We are bewildered, but that doesn't make us lose hope. Others make us suffer, but God does not desert us. We are knocked down, but we are not knocked out. And that's pretty cool right there. I really like that. Those two verses. It's encouraging, right? Basically, you might get knocked down, but you were not knocked out, right? So you may be going through something, but it's so important to remember that just because you're going through a difficult time, it doesn't mean that God has deserted you. It doesn't mean that he doesn't love you. It doesn't mean he's not there for you. Maybe he's just trying to make you stronger. Maybe he's trying to help you to see that you already have the strength to overcome that adversity. And you're going to become an even greater person as a result of that. That's something that we have to keep in mind. In James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4, it says, my brothers and sisters, you will face all kinds of trouble. When you do, think of it as pure joy. Your faith will be tested. You know that when this happens, it will produce in you the strength to continue. And you must allow this strength to finish its work. Then you will be all you should be. You will have everything you need as a result. And that's powerful too, right? Hard times. We shouldn't run away from hard times. We shouldn't think that in this life we won't go through hard times. We should prepare for those hard times and know that when it comes, as difficult as it may be, it's going to make us stronger. It's going to make us better people as a result. And so, as difficult as they are, they should be welcomed. Maybe not quite with open arms like you're happy about it, but at the same time, it's an understanding. It's maybe a sober understanding that, you know what, regardless of what I go through in this life, I need to just, understand that things are not always going to go my way, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're doing anything in this life, you can't go through this life unscathed. But that's why we have the promises of God. More on that next week.
Knowledge is power, power is money, and money makes the world go round.
Money, power, respect, I get it higher, learning, yeah, I'm with it. Only get better with time, keep God on my mind with wisdom, there's no limit. There's no limit, get up and get it. Can achieve the impossible, conquer every obstacle. Exhausted from grinding, constantly pushing, do what they say I could. Life is what you make it. Knowledge is power, don't let them take it. If you're in love with wisdom, come inside.
Come inside. Come inside.
The truth will surely rescue you and I.
You and I. You and I.
If you're in love with wisdom, come inside.
Come inside. Come inside.
The truth will surely rescue you and I.
This has been a presentation of the Ohio Media School.
Jam, man. Work it. Turn the whole thing up.
NorthCoastUnderground.com, where the underground starts with you.